Hi guys, welcome back to a K-pop Astrology with yours truly, Ray Astrology. All right, so today we are doing a full astrology breakdown for Unis, Eunice, Eunice. I'm not 100% sure the pronunciation, if it's more on the Korean side or like on the English Western side. Y'all let me know because I'm new here, but welcome to K-pop Astrology. So if you don't know me, I am one third of the fangirls, Christina, Ray, whatever you want to call me, that's fine. We're gooch. Anyways, I read K-pop debut charts through the Hellenistic lens using the whole sign house system. So for this episode, I kind of did a poll to see whose chart you guys wanted me to do next. And as of today that I'm recording, we have not yet reacted to this girl group. So I'm going completely blind. I don't know nothing. I only know that it's a girl group. I've seen that they might be Ahav's sister group is what I saw. And also, the only thing that I did had to kind of like look up to see when they debuted it, and I noticed that there is like a 2.5 year contract. So I will be covering that as well. But for this particular reading, we're going to cover through the energy of the group, the trajectory, how the public connects to them. And again, we'll talk about this contract conversation. But like I said, I haven't reacted to them yet, so I don't know what their vibe is. Obviously, I don't know nothing about the survival show. That's the only thing that I know is that they're a group from a survival show. So I don't know personalities or anything about this group. So obviously, your comments will help me understand if this is an accurate reading, and of course, if there's more contents that you can offer me. So with that being said, let's get into it. Let me go ahead and share on my end the chart. Okay. So, I'm using the chart March 27, 2024 at 6 p.m. since that's the time that they debuted. It is what I could find. Now, this is based off of even like their social media when they launched I think it was their debut music video. Mind you, there is a showcase that happened at 8 p.m., but the first time that they actually show up to the world is what I am taking into consideration with this reading. And so, first off, with this chart, we have a Virgo rising at 27 degrees of Virgo. Now, what does this tell me? So, even if you don't know astrology, the picture that I would like to paint for you is that Virgo rising groups feel very precise. They feel well trained, intentional, organized, and even like craft focus. So they don't rely really on like shock value, they rely on skill and consistency. Now, because it is in the late degrees of Virgo, it does kind of give the vibe of like we didn't debut as like rookies, right? We debuted it already shaped by the process or by a process which kind of makes sense when we are looking at a group that was formed through a survival show, because Virgo Risings kind of literally describe that kind of structure that is the whole process of having evaluations during a survival show, coaching, proof of skill, and just refinement. So that Virgo rising really just it makes a lot of sense, especially for a group that came from a survival show. Now, one of the interesting parts about this rising sign too is that it directly opposes Neptune and the sun. Mind you, yes, I understand that Virgo is the opposing sign of Neptune and it's a direct opposition, right? And that Sun is in Aries at this point, so it's not by sign an opposition, but by degree is still very, very close to opposing the Sun. So I do still take that into consideration. Now, because it is opposing the Sun and Neptune in the chart, really, this is the way that this group see themselves versus how they are shaped by the external partnership is a big theme for this group. So obviously they're not operating independently. This group is really tied to the whole situation with the contract, company decisions, public expectations, and even collaborations between networks and labels. So this opposition really shows that people project heavily onto them, whether it's the fans, the public, and the show context all play a role in shaping who this group really becomes. So just you have in mind that, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, but a lot of how they are perceived is going to determine the life of this group, pretty much. Now, another thing here is that this seventh house of Pisces is stacked with Mars, Saturn, Venus, the verdicts, if you want to include it in there, Neptune, the descendant, and obviously this is just like the nodes, but we'll get just like the true node or something like that. I don't remember. But with the seventh house being stacked, the seventh house represents the public and how you are connected to the public. And then add the layer that it's in Pisces. It has almost this emotional, dreamy, soft, comforting energy that is Pisces. So, in terms or the translation to this and what it creates for the group is a group that people emotionally attach to really, really fast. And it's almost like this kind of relation to kind of bringing back what I said, I think, in the AHA reading that you somehow feel connected to them already, like at first glance or at first like listen. And you kind of get that vibe of like, I want to root for them. And so on top of that, you have this Venus Neptune signature. Obviously, it's not a conjunction, but it's still pretty close. And so because it's in these planets are in the seventh house, they're going to have different types of energy combinations. So for example, if we take into consideration Venus and Neptune, these are comforting like visuals and emotion and emotional resonance. Now, the layer that Pisces or Mars and Pisces add to this group is that it's gentle but has some sort of like expressive choreography. And then adding the element of Saturn in Pisces there, there's still structure, but with some sort of flexibility because Pisces is not necessarily the structure type. It kind of adds that fluidity and flexibility to the energy that Saturn brings, which is like structure and like being like militant pretty much. And then you also have Mars and Venus, which kind of gives you like this teamwork energy. You don't see one person trying to outdo the other person. It's very cohesive. It's it's nobody trying to, steal the spotlight here and there or outshine the other. It's very much about teamwork. It's like a nice thing to see, in a group. So in a way, like I wouldn't be surprised if the fandom um almost finds something healing from this group. Again, I don't know nothing about this group, so I don't even know like the vibe that they give off at first glance. But just based off this chart, it really looks like a group that almost feels very healing to watch, maybe almost like nostalgic in a way. Now, I do want to talk about the Saturn in Pisces in the seventh house a little bit more because that kind of brings up the contract conversation as well. So Saturn sits in the seventh house, and the seventh house does rule contracts. And just to kind of give you a mental picture of what this energy is, Saturn is time, boundaries, and agreements. Pisces, it's like I said, fluidity, flexibility, constantly evolving structure. So when you have Saturn and Pisces in the seventh house, it means that the group was formed under like a real structured contract, but it's a contract that is designed to be reevaluated, revisited. So not left open-ended, if that makes sense. And I'm not sure how survival shows work, but or how, you know, because there are different survival shows, but some have like longer contracts that I'm aware of. And this is my first time really seeing like a 2.6 year, limit. But I could see how this could be a normal thing for groups that come from survival shows. So it already tells us that the chart supports a controlled time frame. So it's not like there's much push and pull there. Like it's meant to happen that way, if that makes sense, is what I want to say. Now, I also want to point you guys to the eighth house. I know it's kind of like all these planets are converting into the eighth house, but technically all of these Aries placements are still in the eighth house. So we have the Sun, the North North, Chiron, and Mercury in there. And the Lot of Fortune is in there as well, but I don't have it projected. But really, with this eighth house, the eighth house is a very intensive and house. It does bring a lot of intensity, transformation, share resources, but also big expectations. So with it being in the sign of Aries, which is a very fast-paced sign, it adds fast growth and pressure to kind of just rise quickly. So this group is not really designed to enter quietly. They're kind of meant to grow fast and progress fast, but also face challenges and kind of make an impact very early on. Now, also the eighth house explains why fans might feel very protective of them. I'm not 100% sure, but we did do a poll on on YouTube, and we did obviously, like I said in the intro, we made a poll. This was the next video you guys wanted. And so just with that energy of like having like Unis be win by a landslide, it already tells me that the fandom can be a very, very protective or very excited about this group. So there's a lot of emotional investment tied to their journey as a group. But moving on. Now, I wanted to point out this moon in Libra at 29 degrees, which I like to think that the moon represents the fans. And this moon is at 29 degrees, which is a very like critical degree, the anaretic degree, if you want to call it, by those terms astrologically. But it means that emotions do like run high. The connection is intense, and the fans feel something important about this group right away. Like this is nothing bad, but it just means that the emotional storyline is very strong, immediate, but also memorable. So this is like, in my opinion, a signature for very like in tune, very loyal fans in the sense that these are fans that are gonna come back era after era. And without like with every little update that they have, they're going to be present and rooting for them. So it's just because it's at 29 degrees, it kind of makes it a little bit more intense. Um, but that is nothing bad. I'm just saying that it's just the support and the love is definitely going to be there. Now, I kind of want to dive into this Jupiter-Uranus signature here in Taurus in the ninth house. The reason why I want to talk about this particular signature is because the ninth house is a house of like global reach. So this means international virality, maybe sudden spikes in attention. There's a strong presence outside of Korea, is what I want to say. Kind of like almost like AHA, they feel like a group that will definitely do way better outside of Korea. I could see like just members, individual members going viral on TikTok or on a fan cam. This just to me, it shows that there's a lot of fandom growth through like overseas platforms as well. So they, as a group, I feel like they have a really strong chance of building global momentum very early on. And I mean, they are already a year old, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is the case already. It's just they haven't been on my radar. Because again, the Fangirls channel is my way of learning about new groups, even girl groups. Because I only really limited myself to like maybe 5 groups, and it's because it's so hard for me to like get to know the names, listen to the song, and it's just a lot. So the time that I do have when I record with the other fangirls is like my time of like exploring outside of my comfort zone, musically and in the world of K-pop. But enough about me. Let's go back to the girls. So I do want to, so that's kind of like the overall energy that I see with this chart. Obviously, I can talk, guys. I can talk. But I just kind of want to give you like the important details, especially because I don't know much about the group. So this is almost like a little trial run for us, to see if I am on the right track. Usually an astrology reading does have a two-way conversation of like, oh yeah, that tracks, because astrology is a spectrum, right? Um, but I kind of wanted to give you guys like the overall energy to see if it tracks, and then I am going to jump into the timing techniques to kind of see ahead, of what this contract situation might bring. So I use again Hellenistic astrology. So using Hellenistic timing techniques, what's called perfections. The way, just a simple way to kind of explain this if you don't know about that, is that per every house, right? It's you live in like that house for a year per se. And that's the best way I can explain it. But when you're born, you start at the house number one, and it's from age 0 to 1. So for example, if I was born March 27th of 2024, from March 27th of 2024 to March 27th of 2025, I'm in a Mercury year. Why? Because Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So that's going to be my Time Lord, my teacher, my guide through that first year of life, right? So when they turn 1, they move, which they are in now. They are in a Venus ruled year because Venus rules the sign of Libra. So from March 27, 2025 to March 2027 of 2026, they're going to be in a Venus ruled year. So Venus ruled year. So whatever Venus does in the sky is going to impact the group. Now, the contract talks about a 2-year, 2.6 year limit or revisitation, right? So that would put them at a Mars year because the third house is when you're 2 going on 3, and they have it in Scorpio. And Scorpio traditionally is ruled by Mars. Again, we're using traditional Hellenistic astrology. So in this case, Pluto wouldn't apply to be the Time Lord. So again, this just disclaimer. So because at this point in the contract, they are going to be ruled by Mars. Mars is already natally, right, on their birth chart as a group is in Pisces. And with that, it's also in the seventh house that rules contracts, partnerships, and public decisions. So when we look at, and I want to pull up March 27 of 2026, I'm putting at the same time just for it being like their birthday purposes. I want to point you that not only do they have, if we go to the debut chart, they already have it at 3 degrees of Pisces. If we go to the second year anniversary, Mars is going to be on in Pisces as well. And the sun is also going to be in Aries. So it's going to kind of share the same-ish signature where, Sun is in Aries, Mars is in Pisces. So it still has like that same energy that they would have that they have on the debut chart. So even Obviously, on their second year anniversary, they tend to do like comebacks and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a comeback lined up with their second year anniversary or a special announcement, or even if the renewal conversation is being brought up at that time. But it does still show to me like a big visibility moment during their 2 year anniversary. And the other thing that I wanted to point out is that Saturn and Neptune are going to be right there, or the sun will have navigated Saturn and Neptune. So really at this point in time when they hit that 2 year mark, it's a lot about let's plan, let's figure out what this next phase is. Because I'm pretty sure they're not gonna wait till September of 2026 to be like, oh, let's figure it out. No, obviously, I think during this time is when everything is kind of being almost even finalized. And of course, we do have Venus and Chiron as well in Aries at this point in time in their eighth house. Because natally they have it in Pisces, but for their birthday chart, it's going to be a Venus and Chiron conjunction in Aries. So really, there's going to be a lot of emotional support and like because it's in the sign of Aries, it's almost like that passionate emotional support from the fans. So this could be almost like even healing for the group to kind of see the support that they're getting, or even a celebratory moment for them, right? Again, it's their 2 year anniversary, so emotions are going to be running really high, but the support is going to be there, you know? Now, the moon will be in Cancer in the 11th house, and I like to talk about the 11th house because it is, again, the emotional support from the fans, but also the 11th house, in my opinion, is where the fandom lives, right? And with it being in Cancer and at 27 degrees, it kind of gives me an idea that it might like even gain traction. Like fans really are gonna be like rally up, and even their engagement might climb through this period. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of get a little bit more of a boom during their second year anniversary. And then of course, Pluto here in Aquarius in the sixth house. And with that, I mean work is gonna intensify for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is like almost like a moment in time where they might actually do a lot of press to kind of feel the fandom as well, make sure everything is tracking to what they are expecting the receiving of this group is. And I feel like almost like to solidify whatever decision goes behind doors. So really the 2 year mark is no like ending moment. It's almost like a review. It calls for a review for celebration and kind of like a planning stage. So it's very normal for groups, especially I feel like that have these set terms, right? Now, I did also want to just touch base on the date that would be their 2.6 year limit. That would be September. I'm going to put it for the same date or the same day that they would that would mean the actual 2.6 months. And because Mars is the time lord, the guide to this second year of life, we're still looking at Mars, right? And Mars here is at this point in time in Cancer at 29 degrees. So because it is a Mars ruled year, some themes that are brought up during a Mars ruled year is structure, like testing the structure, renegotiations, decisions, public communication, but also a lot on the contract talk. So regardless of what happens behind the scenes, it is still going to be a conversation that is going to be happening, regardless of if at this point there's already a decision made public or not. In addition, the sun is going to be in Libra. And if we go back to the debut chart, they have the sun in Aries. So it's going to actually be a direct opposition to their natal sun, which again kind of gives me like almost a moment of reflection, a little check-in, or just the idea of making an announcement on that same day that they're supposed to be completing that term for the contract. And of course, also the moon, though, is going to be in Aries and conjunct that Saturn, and it's going to also be activating this section right here of their chart. And with the moon in Aries, it also activates that eighth house, right? So there's like this emotional moment where fans now are like completely and deeply invested in the group. And with Saturn here on the chart for September 27, it is retrograde, but oh, I accidentally stopped sharing. Okay, my bad. Um, with Saturn going retrograde over their natal sun and Mercury, there is this sense of like whenever a planet does go retrograde, it takes on the personal themes of it, but it also like reviews, restructures, and renegotiates. So again, it's not ending. Just think of more of a revisiting of these themes of their identity as a group. All right, and now with Jupiter, Jupiter is going to be transiting their 12th house because here Jupiter will be at this time, at this point in time, this planet Jupiter will be in the sign of Leo. And if you go back to their natal chart, Leo is their 12th house. And so it means that this Jupiter is going to be transiting over that house, which the 12th house is more behind the scenes planning. So this means like the company is making decisions privately, there's internal conversations happening, restructuring ideas, and like planning the next phase. Because at this point in time, if obviously we know the future of them before the date, at this point in time, they're already planning the next phase. So Jupiter here is actually really positive. So it means opportunities are forming, but behind the scenes, very quietly. Now, the another important thing here is that the nodes will have switched from the Virgo Pisces axis into the Leo Aquarius axis, and the south node is going to enter the sign of Leo, and so that means that it's going to enter their 12th house as well. So really it's almost like at this point in time, they're kind of closing that chapter of what that rookie group meant and kind of jumping into a different type of feeling or dynamic in how the group operates, if that makes sense. So things are changing behind the scenes at this point in time. And of course, if the south node is in their 12th house, that means that the north node is going to be in their 6th house natally, which is right here. And with the north node being in the 6th house, there's a shift in routines in their daily life, in their daily work life. So there is a restructuring there as well, a new beginning in the way that this group is being managed and stuff like that. So really at this point in time, that 2.5 year mark, it's much more, in my opinion, a restructured moment than an ending moment. Saturn likes to review the identity of the groups, and then the sun kind of creates this announcement moment. And Jupiter does show the company working on something internally. So I feel like this is where that next chapter gets really decided, like what the future, what you're going to see more of in the future. So, if we put everything together, let me go back to their debut chart, just so you guys can have a visual. Putting it everything together, we have a very like fast emotional attachment group. They do have this strong global potential and a powerful early rise. So I feel like for how young this group is, and correct me if I'm wrong, it has a really powerful like foreign support. And by foreign, I mean like outside of Korea. And it's structured, but they're very flexible. So in the sense of like contracts, so I feel like it's just there because of like investing purposes, they really wanted to see how the group lands to the public and stuff like that. So I don't feel like this group is anywhere close to ending. If anything, they might go through some restructuring things, but like more of an adjustment or renewal or like reshifted within the group. And so, and with that Jupiter navigating that 12th house of Leo behind the scenes energy, the company is planning on something. It's just what angle they're going to take. Are they going to just renew and we're going to go in the same direction, or are we restructuring as well? Or are we going in a completely different direction? That's what we don't know, or what I don't know, and I wouldn't like to predict that because I really don't know. Like I said, astrology is a spectrum, so it can go many, many ways. But please let me know if you enjoyed this breakdown. Let me know what group you want next. I do have a list. I'm trying to figure out how we want to work the polls, if we want to do them off of YouTube or through Patreon, just to kind of give you guys a little bit more of a like decision as to what groups go next. Because I think with posts, they are like public, so everybody can vote. But with Patreon, it's a little bit more controlling because that way you can like the audience that watches this episode or this show can actually really vote on who they want to see next. So um, I'm trying to figure that out. Just bear with me. But please let me know which group you would like next. And again, if you're new here, welcome. This is where I just break down K-pop charts, of K-pop group charts. And I hope that I can, even whether you're a seasoned astrology person or not, you can kind of understand my breakdown. But please let me know if you are a fan. I forgot what their fandom name was, but if you are a fan of them and you, wanted to kind of get the energy or kind of have an insight as to what's going to happen with the group, please let me know your thoughts and comments. Did the breakdown of the overall energy land? What are your thoughts about the contract? Again, I'm very new to this group. We haven't even reacted to them, but I'm pretty sure maybe by the time this comes out, hopefully we might have reacted to them. We'll see. If not, just check some of the playlists. If there's a playlist on Unis, that means that we've reacted to them. But again, thank you so much for sticking with me thus far. And again, please, 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 if there's more context to add to this reading, please let me know. I like when you guys kind of give me a little bit more insight into the group and how some things do land and might not land. Again, I don't know it all. And it's kind of hard when I'm just like barely know a group or don't know a group at all because I don't know them that way. And like I said, usually astrology readings are a two-way street, two-way conversation where it's like, oh yes, or maybe, there's always like feedback. So that's what I'm trying to say. But I'll let you guys go. Thank you so much for being here, and I will catch you guys on the next K-pop astrology episode. Bye.